I thought his performance in the playoffs was highly disappointing, and it's tough for me to say that because I know he had mentioned how depressed he was, and I'm very keen on the subject of mental health and mental awareness, and the bubble affected him. And I know many people thought that was an excuse for Paul George, and he did ball out on certain occasions in the playoffs. Playoff P. I know the NBA on TNT guys were kind of having their fun saying you can't play like that and call yourself Playoff P. But the real disappointment was after the Clippers got bounced after being up 3-1. Again, shy of making the Western Conference Finals again. And not just any Western Conference Finals, but one in which we knew it was going to match up Clippers with the Lakers as we thought pre-pandemic the entire season it was going to be when they unveiled the Clippers to match LeBron and Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, and his hand-picked right-hand man, Paul George. And I was just profoundly disappointed when I heard him say after losing that this wasn't the year anyway. That they had no time to really gel because of what happened in the pandemic, even though they were cooped up together in the bubble, to get enough chemistry together to actually perform as expected, as hoped, at least make the Western Conference Finals, instead of having yet another disaster occur to this franchise. And I just thought to myself that was so lack of self-awareness that if I was in charge, it would give me pause about his thoughts and his ability and his readiness to be the player that we need him to be with Kawhi in this short window of time that we have. I mean, it was just 2 years for him and Kawhi, essentially, that they would give us in the Clippers of full-on contractual control. And to say this first year, that's it anyway, and Doc Rivers leaves and all of that, I would have hit the pause button and say, what is that all about? I was just so disappointed to hear that. Well, I guess either the Clippers didn't need to go through all this, or the change with Ty Lue would be enough for ownership to feel that Paul George was the guy and he could be reached or he could be coached, and Playoff P would be worthy of buying into even more. They've done it. Woj bombing out moments ago that Paul George has signed the max with the Clippers. 5 years, guaranteed up $226 million. I know Steve Ballmer has more money than most people, but even people with more money than most people doesn't usually risk burning up $226 million of their dollars. So they must feel very confident, or that this is the way to get Kawhi to do the same, and that Kawhi's about to do the same, and that, way, listen, we know year one it was that bad, didn't work out. Some teams weren't affected adversely by the bubble. Some teams were. Our guy was. The whole team was. In the middle of all this, let's not forget, there was a whole conversation about stopping the season entirely because of what was going on in the world of social justice, and the Clippers were one of those teams. You could basically say that was that. Now let's build with these two guys moving forward, and Ty Lue is the different voice in the room, even though he was a voice in the room anyway last year as an assistant. That, I think, is essentially what we're talking about right here. And this one, I can't say I'm surprised, because if you have a player of significant talent and a certain caliber, you got to build them together. And if your guy, who is the ultimate elite player in Kawhi, still feels that this Playoff P is the guy I need to go into battle with, then sign him and hope for the best. and build around him. What do you think? You're the Clipper fan here.
I mean,
did I kind of hit all the touch points here? Or?
I don't think I can really add much more to what you said.
But I'm not emotionally invested.
Yeah,
as someone emotionally invested.
When you give up all of your first round draft picks, like I said this a few weeks ago, the class that's in 6th grade right now, when they graduate high school, the following year is when we're going to have a first round draft pick, I believe. So you gave up a lot to get Paul George, and before the bubble, Clippers were rolling, right? So, like I said before, I'm willing to kind of check 2020 off as a loss in all different types of ways, and let's just see how it works moving forward.
Don't you think this means Kawhi's got to sign?
I'm hoping that
should be the next move.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not, then why did you do this? Right?
Well, because you need at least him if Kawhi's going.
Yeah. So I'm saying I believe.
But is he a guy? I mean, look. I mean,
can you win?
We were so stunned when Indiana's like sent him to Oklahoma City, and then it was working with him there, and then he decided to stay. He and Russell Westbrook are lighting up cigars the night that he decides to stay there instead of being the one to say, "I'll join LeBron."
Yeah.
And we were all sitting there going, oh, really? Okay. And then a year later, he's the one that tells management, yeah, Kawhi and I have been talking, and I want to go to the Clippers and make the best deal possible. And could you imagine? I mean, honestly. So now he's here, and is that the guy that you want to build your entire team around? Kawhi better sign.
He has to. And like I said, it was the best case scenario. If he doesn't sign that, then we're really like screwed.
You have to figure that this is a 2-step process, right? I don't know,
I think
man.
so.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.